Hello everyone, welcome back to Planet Dirt. My name is Alicia and today we are harvesting garlic. So I'm going to show you the elephant garlic right behind me. I'm going to show that to you really quick and then we're going to go over and we're actually going to start with the regular garlic on the other side of my yard. Alright, so I have my elephant garlic in this little bed over here and it got planted at the same time as my other garlic, but it produced garlic scapes way sooner, so I cut those off a couple of weeks ago. It's a general rule of thumb that about 2 weeks after you see the garlic scapes and you harvest them, then it's about time to harvest the garlic, but you should look for the dead leaves. So the bottom 2 to 3 leaves should be dead before you harvest them. And some of these are like borderline, but it's supposed to rain pretty heavy and I haven't been watering these for the last few weeks hoping that they'll dry out, and it's supposed to rain pretty heavy this evening. It is unseasonably cool right now. Just today and tomorrow it's supposed to be like that, and then it's supposed to get back up to like the 90s. So I wanted to get this done today before it's insanely hot, and I don't want to be outside for an extended period of time anymore. So we're going to get this done today. And then over here, so we just walked from the other side of my yard. All right, so we are on the other side of my yard now. We're actually along the back side, and this is where I have all of my grapes. You can see all of my grapes looking absolutely lush and beautiful. And in front of them, I have this area over here where I have a bunch more garlic. So some of these could probably go a couple of more weeks. If you look over here, there are some stalks where there's about 3 leaves that are dead and they're ready to come out. But as we go further down, that's less and less true, because of the way that the sun comes in my yard. It comes this way. The more that this bed is shaded out by the house as the sun's going across the sky. So some of these look kind of small. The ones over here look really good. And then as we go this way, they kind of get small. And then there's a couple of big ones over there, but not many. So I'm not expecting a lot out of this harvest, but I do need to get them out of the ground. And the other thing that I did, you can kind of see the remnants of it over here. The other thing that happened this year is that I really wasn't on top of weeding this bed like I usually am. The previous owners of this house had mint in this bed, and mint is very invasive. It spreads like wildfire. And so I fought it a lot last year, and this year I was less diligent, and it shows. It is definitely all over the place. So I think the first time I tried growing in this bed, I put down landscape fabric, and the landscape fabric worked really well for keeping down weeds, but it makes watering it a lot more difficult. You have to be more targeted in your watering. And also when you're planting garlic, it's kind of hard to use landscape fabric. I'm not the type to go in with a blowtorch and make little holes. I'm just not that dedicated as far as my time management goes. And so it's fine. It is what it is. I'll still probably get a pretty good harvest, but I'm going to get in there now and see what we got. All right. So as you can see, there is this vine. This English ivy is all over the place in my yard. And again, something just from the previous owners. And actually, I might need to get in here and grab my fork. I'm going to go grab my fork. All right. Got my trusty fork. And I'm not going to go close to the garlic with this. I just want to kind of get around it so that I can dig this in and then loosen up the soil. Oh my gosh, there's so much mint back here. Okay, this is a little insane. All right. So the thing about garlic is that you don't want to water for a couple of weeks before you harvest it, because that'll just make the bulbs more moist, takes them longer to cure, and you have a higher chance of the soil of the garlic bulb rotting out. So it does make them a little bit difficult, or more difficult, I should say, to harvest. Of course, if I could see them better, that would be great, but I can't. Oh my goodness. So I planted these a little bit deep. Oh my gosh, that is a huge bulb. That is a huge bulb right there. Oh my gosh. You guys, this is probably the largest garlic bulb I've ever grown. So if I didn't have all this mint in here, it would be a lot easier to get to all this stuff. And so I think I'm going to take just a second and pull out the mint that's close to it. Oh my goodness, there's so much. This is insane. It smells really good back here though, because it's a mint bed. So as much as these ones over here are growing really well, I don't know that I'm going to put garlic in this bed next year or this coming fall, because this bed is really difficult to weed. Okay. All right. See, some of these are just, that's a good normal size. Happy about that. And somewhere in here, I have my labels, but I'm pretty sure that the ones over here are the ones that I saved from my crop from last year. And then I worked my way that way with the new stuff. Oh, not bad, not bad. Oh goodness, some of these look so good. Yeah, so this one is saved from 2024. And these were all hardnut varieties. So that makes me really happy. Yeah, it's a big one. Not even kidding. It's kind of hilarious how good it smells back here. So I'm just knocking the big pieces of dirt off. And then when I set these out to cure, the rest will come off a lot easier. But yeah, look at some of these. Like these poor things didn't even have a chance because there's just all of this mint growing in this bed. And I love mint, but I don't know if anyone needs this much of it. All right. So as I go further back, these ones were smothered out, still completely edible and usable, but they're not going to store very well. So I'm going to just be using these more quickly. I'll go use these ones first. Pulling so much vine off of these. All right. And I know it's kind of a mess back here, and I could have cleaned it all up before I made this video, but one, that's not very honest and not very real. And two, there's always like a best way to do things, but sometimes good enough is just good enough. And you're still going to get a harvest out of it. And so some of these are really little, right? But some of them are absolutely huge. This might have just been this variety, honestly. All of these are pretty tiny. I can find the tag. The tag is in here somewhere. It exists, I swear. I don't know where it is, though. Anyway, even if you can't do something perfectly, it's still worth trying. Because you're probably going to learn something they didn't know before. Like that variety. Whether it was getting smothered out or not, I'm not going to grow that one again because it was just tiny. And right next to it, this one was also pretty smothered out. And it's still much bigger. Yeah, I think that's a variety issue. Sometimes varieties just don't do well in your climate, and you don't know necessarily, unless you have a bunch of farmer friends that are really close to you. You don't know until you try. Ooh, they're starting to get bigger again. Yeah, y'all, look at all this ivy. It's crazy. I did all right pulling it out in the very beginning of the season, of the spring, but it just takes over so quickly. Yeah, some of these are just tiny, but totally still usable. Oh, this is fun. So, these little bulbs that sometimes grow on the side. Apparently some varieties are just more prone to do that than others. I had no idea. So I just leave these in the soil. And when we get to the end over there, I'll show you what they look like from last year. All right, a little bit further down, this one is the music. I know that's not how you pronounce it. It's not actually pronounced music. Hi, baby. Harvesting garlic because it's cool and I don't want to do it when it's hot. Garlic. It's beautiful. All right, this is the music, and this one actually is probably worth saving for next year. This one did pretty good, and it was, again, further in where there was less sun this way in the bed. So those are pretty decent sized. You know what? That small one, I want to say that was the soft neck variety that I had. I only had one soft neck variety this last year because I really like harvesting garlic scapes. So I intentionally only saved hardnecks from last year that I planted. And then when I ordered, I think I only ordered one soft neck variety. I did the rest were hardnecks. And hardnecks are bigger. They just don't last as long on the shelf. But honestly, I eat them pretty fast. You can go through a lot of garlic. And you can also just preserve them. You can freeze them. And they look pretty good, guys. So I probably will not plant this bed full of garlics next year or in the fall. All right, here we go. Gosh, there's so much ivy and weeds randomly back here. Yeah, some of these are just tiny, tiny, tiny. Oof. But some of them are really good sized. All right, so we are now moving into, some of these were full cloves and some of them were not. So I'll show you really quick. So over here, I have my walking onions over there. But in between the walking onions and this variety right here that I'm going to pull up, these little ones right here, these were all of those little bulbs that were side bulbs. And I'm going to leave those in the ground because garlic is technically a biennial. So if you leave those in the ground, next year they will actually become heads of garlic, or so I'm told. So that's an experiment that will continue on, and we will see if it pans out next year. I think that's what this was that I pulled out by accident. So I'll have to get in there and replant that one. But I'm gonna get these out of here. See, some of these, even though it was so far in and it wasn't getting very much sun, that's still a really good sized head. And then this one, see all those little tiny offshoots it's got. So I'm going to leave those in the ground over here. Alrighty, this bed is all cleaned out. The only thing left over here are the walking onions. I'm going to try to make those go this way. If I can. I'm not sure how easy or difficult that is, but some of them are already bending this way, probably to go towards the sun. So I'm going to try to get them to go this way. And then the little tiny offshoots, I replanted those. And then, oh, it looks like I missed one little one in there. I'll go get it. But the rest of this bed is all cleaned out. All right. So just in that small space, this is how much garlic we got out of it. All right, let's head over to the elephant garlic and we'll see what kind of harvest we got. All right, and now we are over in the elephant garlic bed, and I'm super excited about this one. So this soil is all raised bed soil. The other bed that I was working in there, over there, it's in ground, and I've mixed in compost, but it's kind of a little more compacted than what this would be. So I'm hopefully not going to need the fork in here. But let's get in there and see what we got. I'm going to start on this end and work my way that way. Let's grab this one really quick so we know. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness, you guys. Look at how huge that is. That barely fits in my hand. That's like the size of a baseball. Oh, and it does have a couple of little knobbies in there. I can probably just replant those. Wow. Oh, that's exciting. Okay, I'm going to get in there and start harvesting. Wow. So this is elephant garlic. And elephant garlic is, I think it's an onion. Is it an onion? It's not actually garlic, but it tastes like garlic. And this one had like 6 little knobbies on it. That's crazy. So let me get in here and I'll replant those. Oh, lost one. All right, so this one is in the soil. I'll have to dig it out, which is fine. This bed I mulched pretty heavily, which helped a lot. Oh, there it is. Let's see, there it is. There's that garlic head. All right. Oh, and it's got a bunch of little, wow. I'm going to have to look up the reason why, because I heard someone say recently that this was like an anomaly. Like it doesn't usually happen, but I've had this happen a lot on garlic that I planted. So I feel like it's not that uncommon. All right. That one wasn't huge, but it's definitely bigger than a regular head of garlic. All right. Moving right down the line. Oh, that one is so big. Wow. See, this one has a bunch too. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look it up. I'll look it up, and then maybe I'll link something in the description or something. For now, I am just popping them off and putting them into this bed next to me because I don't want it to impact the curing process, and I also still want to be able to use them. So if I just plop them into the bed right next to it, I'll remember to plant them before I go in. But yeah, that's a big old, look at that big old hunker. All right, less big, but still pretty impressive. Yeah, every single one of these has had those little knobs on them. Weird. All right, I'm going to get in here and get the rest of these out. And then we'll do a little recap. Oh, my goodness. Oh, man. So that's probably the biggest one that I've seen so far. Oh, that's like almost softball size. That's crazy. Crazy. All right, so I'm just going to call this an experiment bed. These little things were seriously in almost on every single one. I think there was one head of garlic that I pulled out of this bed that did not have a bunch of these growing out of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to replant them into this bed. And then my big clove, because I don't use these beds over the winter, that big clove I'll just plant where I have room. And then cover this up, and hopefully I'll get little heads next year. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I like experimenting with stuff like this. So I'm going to get these into the soil and then mulch it a little bit, and then we'll go lay out our garlic so it can start curing. All right, so all I have is some cardboard set out, and it's underneath the railing of my house, and this is the north side of my house, so it's not going to get a lot of sun, if any at all, and it'll be somewhat protected from the rain so that if it does rain at all, it won't get sloshed. If it starts pouring or anything, I will come out and I'll cover it up just until it stops. We're very fortunate here that we don't get a lot of rain during the summer. I know it's weird to say we're fortunate, but for things like this, it means that the chances of me having to come out here and protect it a lot are very, very slim. So I'm going to get all of these situated on here. Some of these elephant garlics are absolutely massive. Some of them were not very big, but like this one, like that one, this will probably be the one I save for seed garlic for next year, because that one is just absolutely huge. And it obviously did really well here. All right, so I'm staggering them just a little on here, and I'm going to do all the elephant garlic first. Some of the elephant garlic didn't do insanely well, but when you get seed garlic, you get like a giant thing of it, right? And then you're supposed to break apart the cloves. You're really only supposed to use like the giant ones. And I didn't do that. So for like these ones, this was just a smaller clove on that seed garlic head. Some of these fell out. All right, I think that's all of the ones that came out of the elephant garlic bed, and now we're moving on to the regular garlic. All right. If you have like a grate or something where they can get a lot of good airflow, that's even better. But I do not have one at the moment. And so we are just doing what we can. Like I said, sometimes you don't have best case. Sometimes you don't have enough to do what is the perfect recommended thing, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't do what is still going to work and get you food. So that is my biggest harvest ever, y'all. I've been growing garlic for about, I think this is my 3rd year trying it. And I think the most important thing is that I do get a little better each year. It's really what we should strive for. Just improvement. All right, so this is the whole garlic harvest. Isn't it beautiful? All right, the first year I grew garlic, I think I maybe got like this much of a harvest. So that's really, really good, especially considering these bigger ones. So like this one, and where's the biggest one? Oh, this one over here. These ones were all from seed that I saved from last year. So that's super exciting. The more that you save from the year prior, and if you keep doing that, the garlic gets more and more acclimated to your climate. So that means that it hopefully does a little better each year. All right, thanks so much for coming along with me today, you guys. I hope I see you next time. Bye.